The sun beat down on the Egyptian desert as Dr. Henry Wells wiped sweat from his brow. For 3 weeks his team had been digging at this site with little to show for it. Today felt different. Henry had a good feeling about the small chamber they had uncovered yesterday. "Lisa, come look at this," Henry called to his colleague. Lisa Morgan walked over, her boots kicking up sand with each step. Lisa knelt beside him and studied the wall. "These markings don't match anything I've seen before." The wall was covered with strange symbols that looked like hieroglyphics but didn't match any known Egyptian writing. The symbols showed tall beings with star-like heads standing next to humans. Above them were patterns that looked like star maps. "They almost look like visitors from space," Henry said, running his fingers over the carvings. "Don't say that too loud." "The university might cut our funding," Lisa joked, but her eyes never left the wall. "We need to document everything and get samples for dating." By evening, the team had photographed every inch of the wall. Henry sat in their research tent looking through the images on his laptop when Lisa rushed in. "Henry, you need to see this." She handed him a tablet showing similar symbols from artifacts found in Iraq, Peru, and China. "These can't all be connected," Henry said, but the evidence was right in front of him. The same star beings appeared in all the images, always with humans at their side. Lisa nodded. "I checked the dates. All these artifacts are over 100,000 years old. That's long before any civilization we know about." A week later, their discovery had attracted attention from around the world. More experts joined their team, and the dig site expanded. While exploring beneath the Great Pyramid, they found something that changed everything. "It's some kind of sealed chamber," said Greg Peters, their structural engineer. "Ground-penetrating radar shows it's perfectly cube-shaped. That's not natural." It took 3 days to safely create an entrance. Henry led the way into the dark chamber, his flashlight cutting through dust that hadn't been disturbed for thousands of years. In the center of the room sat a crystal object about the size of a basketball. "Don't touch anything," Henry warned the team as they set up lights. The crystal seemed to glow faintly from within, with geometric patterns that shifted when viewed from different angles. While setting up recording equipment, one of the junior researchers, Ben Floyd, accidentally cut his hand on a sharp piece of equipment. A few drops of his blood fell onto the crystal. The reaction was immediate. The crystal lit up with brilliant blue light, filling the chamber. Everyone stepped back as the crystal rose into the air and began to spin. "Nobody move," Henry whispered, though everyone was too stunned to do anything else. A beam of light shot out from the crystal, forming a 3-dimensional image in the center of the room. The hologram showed star systems, planets, and strange beings that matched the carvings on the walls. Then, symbols began to appear beside the images. "It's some kind of message," Lisa said, her voice barely audible. As they watched, the symbols began to change, shifting and rearranging themselves. To everyone's shock, they transformed into modern languages: English, Arabic, Chinese, and dozens more. Henry read the words that appeared before him. "To the children of Earth, inheritors of the legacy. The time has come for you to learn of your origin and purpose. You are the final creation, the chosen ones." News of the discovery spread across the globe within hours. Similar crystals had activated in Peru, China, Russia, and underwater near Japan. All projected the same message in different languages. World leaders called emergency meetings. Religious groups debated what it meant. Scientists worked day and night to understand the technology. Henry sat alone in his hotel room that night reading the translated message again. According to the crystal, humans were created by beings called the Architects as part of a grand experiment spanning billions of years and thousands of worlds. And somehow humanity was special. The message called them the final creation and uniquely modified. But for what purpose? The last line of the message kept Henry awake all night. "Prepare yourselves, children of Earth. The conclave approaches to witness your ascension or your failure. The trials begin soon." The world changed overnight. Henry Wells hadn't slept properly in days. Every news channel showed the same images: the crystal devices found across Earth, the strange messages, and the crowds gathering at each site. The the temporary research center near the Great Pyramid. Scientists from around the world worked to understand the full message from the crystal. Henry sat with Lisa and a team of linguists as they pieced together more of the translation. The architects seeded life throughout the galaxy, Lisa read from her notes. They created different intelligent species on thousands of worlds. But why? Asked Henry. What were they trying to achieve? As if answering his question, the crystal in the secured chamber behind them pulsed with blue light. The hologram appeared again, showing what looked like a timeline of the galaxy. It zoomed in on a small spiral arm, focusing on Earth. This section says humans were one of their last creations, said Alan Russo, a linguist from New York University. They made small changes to our DNA that made us different from other species they created. The hologram showed DNA strands with certain sections highlighted. Dr. Diane Foster, a geneticist, studied the display with wide eyes. These highlighted sections, they match what we've always called junk DNA. Parts we thought had no purpose, she said. But according to this, they're dormant sections meant to activate under certain conditions. Henry looked at the complex information floating in the air. So the architects built us with some kind of genetic potential that other species don't have? And they've been waiting, Lisa added. The message says they went into some kind of hibernation, waiting for one species to reach what they call the threshold. Outside the research center, a crowd had gathered. Some held religious signs declaring the end times. Others wore shirts with alien faces. Police kept them at a distance from the entrance. Inside a secure conference room, Henry and Lisa presented their findings to government officials and military leaders from several countries. We believe all the devices activated at once because humanity reached some technological or evolutionary point that triggered them, Henry explained. Can we be sure this isn't a threat? Asked General Frank Mason, leaning forward in his chair. This could be preparatory steps for an invasion. Lisa shook her head. The message repeatedly refers to humans as worthy successors and the final experiment. Whatever the architects were planning, it seems they wanted us to succeed them, not replace us. Succeed them in what? Asked a representative from China. No one had an answer. That night, religious leaders from around the world issued statements. Some claimed the discoveries proved their faith. Others called it a test of faith. A few fringe. Groups began preparations for what they called the ascension. Henry couldn't sleep. He sat on the roof of his hotel, looking at the stars. The night sky looked different to him now, knowing that out there were thousands of worlds with intelligent life created by the same beings who had created humans. His phone buzzed with a message from Lisa. Come quick. The crystal is showing something new. When Henry arrived at the research center, the team was gathered around the crystal. The hologram now showed 27 distinct alien species, each labeled in the strange symbols that translated themselves as they watched. It's a catalog, Lisa explained. These are the other species the architects created. Look at the dates. Some civilizations were millions of years older than humanity. They had technologies beyond human imagination and had spread across multiple star systems. Why would the architects choose us? Henry wondered aloud. Some of these species have been developing for millions of years longer than we have. The crystal pulsed again and new words appeared. Adaptability, creativity, resilience, compassion, the qualities we sought. Only the human genome contains all the necessary components for the final phase. As they watched, the hologram showed a fleet of ships approaching Earth. The crystal provided a date, exactly 6 months from now. The conclave approaches, read the message. They come to witness. They come to judge. They come to challenge. The worthy successor must prove itself or the grand experiment ends. Henry looked at his colleagues, their faces pale in the blue light of the hologram. We have 6 months to prepare for first contact, he said, and somehow convince them we're worthy of whatever the architects planned for us. No one spoke. The weight of representing all of humanity before an advanced alien conclave was too enormous to comprehend. Outside, the stars continued to shine. Now hiding a secret everyone on Earth knew. They were not alone, and soon they would be tested. 6 months passed faster than anyone expected. The world changed in ways both subtle and dramatic. Countries put aside old conflicts to prepare for the arrival of the conclave. A new United Earth government formed, though it was fragile and uncertain. The morning the visitors were due to arrive, Sam Kelly sat in his small apartment in Chicago, watching the news like everyone else. Sam was a physicist who had spent his career developing theories about space travel that most of his colleagues had dismissed as impossible. Now, he wondered if the aliens might prove him right. His phone rang. It was a government number he didn't recognize. Dr. Kelly, this is Agent Laura Diaz with the International Contact Committee. We need you to come to Washington immediately. A car is already on its way to pick you up. Sam barely had time to pack a bag before black SUVs pulled up outside his building. During the flight to Washington, no one would tell him why he had been chosen. They arrived at a massive, newly constructed facility surrounded by military vehicles. Inside, Sam was led to a room where several world leaders and scientists were gathered, looking up at large screens showing the sky. Dr. Kelly, thank you for coming, said President Eleanor Clark. We've been reviewing the work of thousands of scientists looking for someone who might understand the technology we're about to encounter. Sam was confused. Madam President, I'm just a theoretical physicist. My work isn't even widely accepted. That's exactly why you're here, she replied. Your theories about cross-dimensional travel are remarkably similar to information we've decoded from the architect messages. Before Sam could respond, alarms began to sound. The screen showed multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere. Unlike the invasion scenes from movies, the ships didn't hover over major cities. They appeared suddenly in orbit, massive structures that dwarfed the International Space Station. One smaller vessel descended toward the Washington facility. They're here, someone whispered unnecessarily. The landing was broadcast live across the world. The ship touched down on a specially prepared landing pad outside the facility. It was sleek and silver, with no visible engines or windows. A delegation of world leaders, scientists, and military officials, including Sam, waited nervously. A door appeared in the side of the ship, though no one had seen it open. 3 beings emerged. The first was tall and slender, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with patterns like circuitry. The second was shorter, with 4 arms and a face that reminded Sam of an octopus. The third looked almost human except for golden eyes with vertical pupils. People of Earth, the human-like being, spoke in perfect English, though its mouth didn't move exactly with the words. I am Sentinel, representative of the Galactic Conclave. We have come in response to the activation of the Architect Protocol. President Clark stepped forward. We welcome you to Earth. We have many questions. As do we, Sentinel replied. It was unexpected that humans would trigger the protocol. Many species in the Conclave have existed for millions of years longer than yours. The blue being made a sound like static electricity. Sentinel nodded. My colleague Vox expresses concern. Your species is young, primitive by our standards. Yet the architect devices have selected you for evaluation. Sam found himself stepping forward. Evaluation for what purpose? All 3 aliens turned to look at him. Sam felt as if they were seeing through him rather than at him. You are? Sentinel asked. Sam Kelly. I'm a physicist. The human who theorized trans-dimensional folding, the octopus-like being said. Its voice bubbling like water. Your work is interesting, though flawed. Sentinel gestured toward the ship. The Conclave oversees the galaxy in the absence of the architects. For billions of years, we have waited for the architect's chosen successor to emerge. The activation of the devices suggests that humanity may be that successor. Murmurs spread through the human delegation. However, Sentinel continued, many members of the Conclave dispute this possibility. Humans are violent, divided, and technologically immature. Therefore, according to ancient law, you must prove your worthiness through 3 trials. What kind of trials? President Clark asked. Knowledge, compassion, courage. Sentinel's golden eyes fixed on Sam. This human will represent your species. In the initial proceedings, Sam felt his heart racing. Why me? The architect protocol selected you when you entered this facility. Your mind pattern matches certain criteria. Sam looked back at the other humans, seeing their shock and concern. Some nodded encouragingly. Others looked doubtful. The first trial begins tomorrow, Sentinel said. Prepare yourselves. If humanity fails, the consequences will be significant. As the aliens returned to their ship, Sam realized the fate of his entire species might rest on his shoulders. Somewhere in the stars, ancient gods had chosen humanity as their favorite. Now he needed to prove they hadn't made a mistake. The first trial began the next morning. Sam and a group of Earth's top scientists were led to a large dome-shaped building that had been constructed overnight by the alien visitors. Inside, the walls were made of a material that seemed to shift and change color. Sentinel stood in the center of the room. Behind him, representatives from various alien species watched. From elevated platforms, Sam could feel their judgment. The trial of knowledge tests the intellectual capacity of a species, Sentinel explained. The architects valued understanding above all else. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing complex mathematical symbols that twisted and moved in 3 dimensions. This equation has remained unsolved for over 20,000 years, Sentinel said. Many species have tried to solve it and failed. You have 1 month. Sam studied the equation. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The symbols themselves seemed alive, changing slightly as he watched. What happens if we fail? He asked. Then the architect protocol ends. Humanity will be allowed to continue its existence, but you will not receive the gifts intended for the successor species. As Sentinel and the other aliens left, scientists from around the world began to work. They set up computers and equipment, scanning the equation and trying to make sense of it. After 3 days of constant work, Sam was exhausted. Nothing they tried seemed to help. The equation defied conventional mathematics. We need a different approach, he said to the tired team. Let's take a break. Outside the dome, a small coffee shop had been set up for the scientists. Sam sat alone, thinking, when a young woman sat down across from him. You're going about it all wrong, she said. Sam looked up, surprised. Excuse me? The equation. You're treating it like standard mathematics. It's not. The woman introduced herself as Tara Williams. She wasn't part of the official team. She had been working as a janitor in the facility, but she had a gift for patterns. I never finished college, she explained. But I've always seen mathematics differently. It's like music to me. Sam was skeptical but desperate. What do you see in the equation that we don't? It's changing based on how you observe it, Tara said. Like it's alive. And the base system isn't using standard numerical values. It's using ratios found in nature. Sam brought Tara into the dome, despite protests from security. She looked at the equation and began to hum, following the movement of the symbols with her hands as if conducting music. It's the Fibonacci sequence, she said, but with a twist, and these symbols here match the pattern of spiral galaxies. Over the next 2 weeks, Sam and Tara worked together. They discovered that the equation responded to music played at certain frequencies. When they played Bach, the symbols aligned in new patterns. When they showed it images of natural patterns like seashells or flower petals, other parts shifted. This isn't just mathematics, Sam realized. It's testing our ability to recognize patterns in nature and art, things that cross cultural and species boundaries. One night, as they worked late, Sam noticed something strange. Look at how the symbols are arranged. They look like a map. Tara nodded excitedly. Not a standard map. It's showing dimensions. See how this part folds over itself? It's showing the way space curves around massive objects. 3 days before the deadline, they had their breakthrough. By combining mathematical principles with music theory and natural patterns, they transformed the equation into a 3-dimensional star map. It's pointing to something in our own solar system, Sam said. Inside Jupiter's great red spot. On the final day, Sentinel and the alien observers returned. Sam and Tara presented their solution, explaining how they had recognized that the equation wasn't meant to be solved traditionally. The answer isn't a number, Sam explained. It's a location. The great red spot on Jupiter isn't just a storm. It's hiding something. Sentinel's golden eyes widened slightly. Correct. For thousands of years, species have tried to solve this through pure mathematics alone. Humans are the first to recognize that the equation requires understanding of art, music, and natural patterns. The alien observers murmured among themselves. Some seemed impressed, others angry. "You have passed the first trial," Sentinel announced. "The architect library awaits within Jupiter's storm. It contains knowledge gathered over billions of years." As the aliens left, Sam noticed one of them, a reptilian being with chrome-colored scales, watching him with what seemed like hatred in its eyes. Tara squeezed his hand. "One down, 2 to go." Sam nodded, but couldn't shake the feeling that the celebration of passing the first trial was short-lived. 3 days after the solution of the equation, people began to fall ill. It started in cities near the alien landing sites, then spread rapidly. Sam woke up to urgent news alerts on his phone. He switched on the TV to see reports of a mysterious illness affecting thousands of people worldwide. Symptoms began with a blue rash, followed by fever and breathing problems. His phone rang. It was Tara. "Sam, my little brother is sick," she said, her voice shaking. "They're taking him to the hospital now. The doctors don't know what it is." By the end of the day, hospitals everywhere were overwhelmed. The illness spread faster than any natural disease could. Sam demanded a meeting with Sentinel. "This is not part of the trials," Sentinel said when they met in the dome. "This is unexpected." "Unexpected?" Sam shouted. "People are dying. Children are dying." "A biological agent has been released on your planet," Sentinel admitted. "It targets genetic markers unique to humans. We are investigating which conclave species is responsible." "Which species? You mean one of your people did this?" The blue-skinned alien, Vox, stepped forward. "The Vosari have long believed they should be the chosen successors. We suspect they are behind this." "Can you cure it?" Sam asked. "Yes," Sentinel said. "But the conclave laws are clear. We cannot interfere with the trials once they have begun. To provide the cure would be to end the process." Sam couldn't believe what he was hearing. "So you'll let millions die because of your rules?" "If humanity is to be the successor species, you must find your own solution," Sentinel said. "This is now part of your second trial, the trial of compassion." As Sam left the meeting, he received a call from Dr. Paul Martinez, a friend who worked at a major hospital. "Sam, I noticed something strange," Paul said. "Some patients aren't getting sick, even when exposed directly to infected people." "Who?" "Mostly children with a rare genetic condition called Klein-Barr syndrome. It affects about 1 in 50,000 people." Sam rushed to the hospital. Paul showed him test results from children with the syndrome. Their immune systems were fighting off the engineered virus. "Their DNA has a small mutation," Paul explained. "It changes a protein that the virus needs to attach to human cells." Over the next days, they worked to develop a treatment using blood samples from the immune children. Progress was slow and the death toll rose rapidly. Then they received a message from a Vosari ship in orbit. Their leader, a reptilian alien with chrome scales, appeared on screens worldwide. "Humans," the Vosari leader hissed. "We have observed your species carefully. You are violent, selfish, and primitive. You do not deserve to be the successors. Surrender your claim to the Architect Protocol, and we will provide the cure for the virus." World leaders met in emergency session. Many wanted to accept the offer. "We can't sacrifice our future," argued Sam when consulted. "The architects chose us for a reason." "What good is being chosen if we're all dead?" a European leader countered. While the debate continued, Paul made a discovery. The virus attacking humans was similar to one that had affected the Vosari centuries ago, according to data from the Architect Library. They're still carriers, Paul realized. That's how they engineered it so quickly. They based it on their own plague. Then reports came in that a Vosari colony ship near Saturn was experiencing an outbreak of their ancient plague. They had accidentally reactivated it while creating the human version. Earth's leaders faced a choice: Use their limited supply of the developing cure for humans only, or share it with the Vasari who were now also dying. They tried to wipe us out, said many advisors. Let them suffer the consequences. Sam thought hard about the nature of the trial they were facing. The trial of compassion, he said quietly. We're being tested on our ability to show mercy. Against strong opposition, Earth sent their treatment formula to the Vasari colony. It wasn't perfect, but it would save many of their people. 2 days later, the Vasari leader appeared again on screens worldwide. For the first time, the alien looked uncertain. Humans, the leader said slowly. You shared your cure with us, though we tried to destroy you. Why? Because it was right, replied the human spokesperson simply. That evening, Sentinel came to Sam. The Vasari have withdrawn their challenge. They acknowledge your species has passed the trial of compassion. Was this your plan all along? Sam asked angrily. No, Sentinel said. But the architects designed the trials to reveal true character under pressure. Your people chose compassion when vengeance would have been justified. That is rare indeed in the galaxy. As the combined human and Vasari treatment spread worldwide, the pandemic began to recede. But Sam knew they had little time to recover. The final trial, the trial of courage, was still to come. A month passed as Earth recovered from the virus. The final trial was about to begin, but no one knew what form it would take. People were nervous but proud. They had passed 2 trials already. They could pass one more. Sam and Tara were meeting with world leaders when Sentinel arrived unexpectedly. We have detected something approaching your solar system, Sentinel said, his golden eyes showing what Sam now recognized as concern. Something ancient and dangerous. Screens in the meeting room showed a dark cloud moving through space, destroying everything in its path. Stars dimmed as it passed. What is it? Asked President Clark. The Void Heralds, Sentinel replied. Ancient. Enemies of the architects. They have been dormant for millions of years. The activation of the architect devices must have awakened them. Sam studied the images. How much time do we have? 2 days before they reach your outer planets. Perhaps 3 before they reach Earth. The room erupted into chaos as leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to surrender to the Void Heralds. Others suggested using nuclear weapons. Kate Richardson, a former military strategist who had been working with the contact team, stood up. What are their weaknesses? They have none that we know of, Sentinel admitted. The Conclave fleet is preparing to defend Earth, but even our most advanced weapons may not be enough. Wait, Sam said, an idea forming. You said they were enemies of the architects. Would the architects have created defenses against them? Sentinel seemed surprised by the question. Possibly, but such technology would be beyond your ability to use. Kate moved to a computer and pulled up data from the architect library discovered in Jupiter. Maybe not. Look at this. She showed them information about Earth's magnetic field. According to this, the architects built a network of devices beneath Earth's surface that could turn our planet's magnetic field into a weapon. But we've never found such devices, President Clark said. We weren't looking for them, Kate explained. They're disguised as natural formations, certain mountains, islands, and underwater ridges that form a perfect geometric pattern around the globe. Sentinel studied the data. This might work. But to activate such a network would require simultaneous triggering at each location, and the power required would be enormous. Kate nodded grimly. The devices would need to be activated manually, and whoever did it would likely not survive the energy surge. A heavy silence fell over the room. They had found a way to save Earth, but it would come at a terrible cost. John Russell, a quiet engineer who had been helping with the alien technology, spoke up. I'll go to one of the sites. Others in the room began to volunteer as well. Within hours, a plan formed. 7 teams would travel to 7 locations around the world. Mountaintops, ocean floors, remote islands. Each team would carry a device, built from architect technology that could trigger the ancient defensive network. Sam was assigned to coordinate from the main facility, using his understanding of physics to guide the teams. As the Void Heralds entered the solar system, the Conclave, fleet moved to intercept them, but their ships were swatted aside like insects. The news showed scenes of massive alien vessels crashing into Jupiter's moons. Kate's team reached their location in the Himalayas. John's team dived deep in the Pacific Ocean. Other teams reported from the Sahara, Antarctica, the Amazon, Australia, and Iceland. "We're in position," John reported from his underwater station. "Ready when you are." Sam checked the data one last time. "Everyone needs to activate at the exact same moment. We'll count down from 10. The Void Heralds were now visible from Earth telescopes. Their ships were like moving holes in space, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. 10, Sam began. Screens around him, he could see each team at their locations. They looked scared but determined. 5. Satellite images showed the Void Heralds destroying the last Conclave ships defending Earth. 1. Now. At 7 points around the world, brave humans activated ancient technology. The Earth itself seemed to shudder. Massive energy readings spiked at each location. Then, a wave of blue energy erupted from the planet's surface, following the lines of Earth's magnetic field into space. The energy wave hit the Void Herald ships, causing them to twist and distort before vanishing completely. In the silence that followed, Sam tried to contact the teams. There was no response from any of them. Sentinel entered the room, his alien features showing what could only be described as awe. "The trial of courage is complete," he said quietly. "Your people sacrificed themselves not just for their own kind, but for the Conclave as well." Sam felt tears on his face. Did any of them survive? We do not. The world changed overnight. From every continent came reports of strange machines rising from the ground, emerging from the oceans, or revealing themselves inside mountains. They hummed with energy that made the air tingle. Sam watched in amazement as satellite images showed activity on Mars. The red planet was changing before their eyes. Massive devices, hidden beneath the surface for millions of years, had begun to transform the atmosphere. "The terraforming process has begun," Sentinel explained. "Mars was once habitable. The architects designed it as humanity's second home. Even more incredible was what happened on the Moon. What humans had always believed to be just a natural satellite revealed itself to be partly artificial. Large sections of its surface shifted, exposing massive structures beneath. "A shipyard," Sentinel said with awe in his voice. "And a defensive platform. The architects left you everything you would need to take your place among the stars." Sam was still, mourning the teams who had sacrificed themselves to activate Earth's defenses. But 3 days after the battle, they received miraculous news. John Russell and 2 others from his underwater team had survived. They were found floating in the Pacific, protected by some kind of energy bubble. When John woke up in the hospital, he described a strange experience. "When I activated the device, I felt like I was connected to something vast, like my mind expanded beyond my body." Similar reports came from other survivors. Kate Richardson's team in the Himalayas had been found sheltered in a cave that hadn't existed before. They too spoke of a strange connection to something larger than themselves. But the changes weren't limited to Earth and its neighbors. People worldwide began to report unusual experiences. Children solved complex problems without training. Adults discovered new talents. Injuries healed faster than normal. Dr. Diane Foster, the geneticist who had studied the architect messages, confirmed what many suspected. "The dormant sections of our DNA are activating," she announced at a press conference. "The genetic potential the architects built into humans is finally expressing itself." Sam experienced it himself. His understanding of physics deepened in ways he couldn't explain. Equations that once took him days to solve now seemed obvious. He could visualize multiple dimensions with perfect clarity. Tara found she could hear music in everything: the wind, electronic devices, even people's movements. She composed symphonies that brought listeners to tears with their beauty. World governments struggled to adapt to the rapid changes. Some nations embraced the new technologies eagerly, others approached them with caution. But the old conflicts that had divided humanity for centuries began to fade as people recognized their shared destiny. 6 weeks after the battle with the Void Heralds, Sentinel called a gathering of Earth's representatives. The entire conclave had assembled in orbit around Earth, 27 species watching as humanity faced its moment of truth. "You have completed the 3 trials," Sentinel announced. "Knowledge, compassion, and courage. You have proven yourselves worthy successors to the architects." The blue-skinned Vox stepped forward. "Many of us doubted you, some still do, but your actions have spoken clearly. Your species values understanding, shows mercy to enemies, and is willing to sacrifice for the greater good. These are the qualities the architects sought," added the octopus-like being. "These are the qualities needed to guide the galaxy." Sentinel bowed his head. "The conclave recognizes humanity as the inheritors of the architect legacy. Their knowledge, their technology, and their responsibility are now yours." Several alien species immediately pledged allegiance to humanity. They would help guide humans as they took their first steps into a much larger universe. Others announced they would withdraw to their own territories, accepting the decision but unwilling to serve under such a young species. Sam looked at Tara, both of them overwhelmed by what was happening. "What do we do now?" she whispered. "We learn," Sam replied. "We grow. We try to be worthy of this responsibility." That night, as Sam looked up at the stars, he felt a strange certainty that the architects were still out there somewhere, watching. They had created humanity with a purpose to become something greater than themselves, to take their place as guardians of life in the galaxy. The dormant technology continuing to awaken across the solar system seemed to confirm one thing: humanity's journey was just beginning. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Humanity expanded throughout the solar system with breathtaking speed. Mars now had 3 major cities, each home to thousands of people. The terraforming process had created lakes and the beginnings of plant life on the red planet's surface. Mining operations in the asteroid belt provided resources beyond anything Earth had known before. The moon had become a bustling center of commerce and research, its hidden shipyards now building vessels that could travel between planets in days rather than months. Dr. Henry Wells, the archaeologist who had discovered the first architect message, was now an old man. He sat in his wheelchair on the observation deck of New Armstrong City on the moon, watching Earth rise over the lunar horizon. "Beautiful, isn't it?" asked a familiar voice. Henry turned to see Sam Kelly walking toward him. Sam had aged too, but there was a vigor to him that seemed to defy his years. "I never thought I'd live to see all this," Henry said, gesturing to the lunar city around them. "None of us did," Sam replied. "Even my wildest theories didn't come close to what the architects actually left for us." Below them, in the massive constructed cavern that had been hidden inside the moon for millions of years, the final touches were being applied to humanity's greatest achievement yet: the first true starship. "They're ready for the ceremony," Sam said, helping Henry navigate his wheelchair toward the elevator. The shipyard's main assembly area had been converted into an auditorium for the occasion. Thousands of humans and hundreds of aliens from the conclave species gathered to witness the historic moment. President Clark, now in her second term leading the United Earth government, stood at the podium. Beside her were Sentinel and representatives from the allied alien civilizations. "5 years ago," she began, "we learned we were not alone in the universe. We discovered that ancient beings had created us with a purpose, to one day take their place among the stars. Today, we take another step toward fulfilling that destiny." She turned and gestured toward the massive ship floating in the dock behind her. It was sleek and silver, unlike the bulky vessels humans had built before learning from architect technology. "The architect's legacy will be the first human vessel to travel beyond our solar system," President Clark announced. "Its mission, to find the homeworld of the architects themselves." The crowd erupted in applause. Henry felt tears in his eyes. From that first strange hieroglyph in Egypt to this moment, it was almost too much to comprehend. Captain Nicole Harris stepped forward. At 35, she was one of the first humans to master the mental interface technology that would control the ship. Her mind had been enhanced by the awakening of the architect genes, giving her computational abilities that previous generations would have considered superhuman. "We don't know what we'll find out there," Captain Harris said, "but we go with hope and determination to honor those who created us and those who sacrificed so we could reach this moment." She nodded toward John Russell and Kate Richardson, who sat in places of honor. They still carried the marks of their encounter with the Architect Defense Network, faint blue lines under their skin that pulsed with energy. After the ceremony, as the crowd dispersed, Henry found himself alone with Sentinel. "Did your people ever learn who the architects really were?" Henry asked. "No," Sentinel replied. "They vanished billions of years ago, leaving only their works behind. Some believe they transcended physical form. Others think they faced a threat greater than even the Void Heralds and sacrificed themselves to protect the galaxy." Henry nodded thoughtfully. "And the Void Heralds? Are they gone for good?" "I doubt it," Sentinel said. "They retreated, but such ancient powers rarely disappear completely. Your people may face them again someday." 2 weeks later, Henry watched from Earth as the Architect's legacy departed. The ship didn't launch in the traditional sense. It simply phased out of normal space, leaving a brief flash of blue light. That night, as Henry sat in his garden looking up at the stars, he thought about the journey humanity had taken, from cave-dwelling primates to inheritors of a cosmic legacy in the blink of an eye, evolutionarily speaking. Somewhere in the control room of the Architect's legacy, Captain Harris received a strange transmission, faint and distorted, coming from a star system no one had ever explored. The message was simple: "Children of Earth, you have found your wings, now come find us. The final journey begins." The ancient gods who had picked humanity as their favorite species were calling their children home.